What is up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We're back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate business into a life of freedom. And we have got an awesome guest, and we have the evil bald ninja is with us with a tech and social media tip today. So this is going to be an action-packed episode. Greg and I are on the road right now, so you can see where we are huddled. If you're watching this, we are huddled over. Yes, we're in the same. Thank you for hitting me to prove that we're in the same physical space. We are in the same physical space for once. We're in balmy Detroit, Michigan, coming off of the heels of speaking for Real Living's Key Realty here in Detroit. They're a great brokerage. A couple of friends of the show brought us out, and so there'll be more on that, more chit-chat. But let's bring in, first of all, the Junior Grandmaster himself. Right here next to me in the truly in the co-pilot seat.
True, that is it. Matt and I are going to be sharing the mic today, guys, but I got to tell you, the event that we spoke at yesterday was so much fun. This brokerage, I've been in this game for a long time, guys. This brokerage is, bar none, probably one of the best I've ever seen. They take care of their people like literally family members do. I mean, they really love each other, and so we are so grateful to be here. So if you guys are watching this, thank you from the depths of our heart. We look forward to doing more with you guys. And, Stacie has been awesome so far in the pre-show. She's been just kind of rolling with the punches with us, and Gene is repping hard the Patriots. I mean, that's not the Patriots. What is that, the Panthers? No. What is that? I think that's hockey, isn't it? No, that's women's volleyball. Yep, that's women's volleyball. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So
listen, your ability to put your comments on this, you just threw them right out the window already. You don't know who that is. You're not paying any attention, and you have no right to say anything to me. I'm pumped right now, so let's get going.
All right. Well, first of all, let's welcome in Stacie Peterson. Stacie, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm excited for this today. You guys are like revved up, and I'm ready to go. So
we are revved up.
Yes.
Yes. So give us, for those that might not be familiar with you, give people kind of a little 60-second bio, kind of who you are, where you are, what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Stacie Peterson. The market that I am in is Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the resort area, if you don't know it. You know, people choose Hawaii, San Diego, Sioux Falls.
That's right.
So if you haven't put that
typically
on your list,
in that order.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, come on and visit. But currently, I actually am a real estate coach, so just taking my knowledge from being a real estate agent, team leader, and now coaching. Excited to share with you guys today.
Very cool. And so we've had Lars Hedenberg on the show before. He runs Real Estate B School, and you are, what would you consider, what's your official position with the B School?
Yes, so I'm director of coaching, so I help with coaching the bulk of the clients and as well as sort of our program details, so what we give to the clients and how we give it and all
Awesome.
of that, so yeah.
Yeah, and you've got a really, really cool story. The reason why we called it 5 years to 7 figures isn't just the income stream. It was actually that you built and sold a team, and the sale itself was a 7-figure deal. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, this is sweet. So we've got a lot of great stuff to get into. So we'll dive into kind of the story of how you built up the team and then sold it. There's all kinds of questions I have for you on that. For anybody that's interested in taking those first initial steps to starting or building a team, that's kind of the area of that we're going to focus on. And then, Stacie, I'd love to get you maybe on the team building podcast and go deeper on the final steps, like the last couple of years of really systematizing and getting the team and going through the sale process, because that audience would love to get your perspective on that. So we'll kind of focus on the first part of it in this one. And then, Gene, Greg already brought you in to shoehorn your way into and somersault over Stacie's intro, so I appreciate that. But, Gene, you are the marketing genius, the evil bald ninja, the Volpinator. Give people just a quick idea, just in case people know you from the show but don't really know what you do. What do you do for clients?
We get them exposed.
Perfect. All right, so strip club owner, got it.
Not the way he gets people exposed. Well, they're a professional man, right?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Well,
right,
sometimes.
so
It depends on the client, but sometimes, yes.
All right, Gene. So we've talked a lot about Facebook algorithms and just some of the changes. What's been on your mind this week as far as social media and tech?
Instagram. So Instagram there's been a lot actually, but the one that I'm going to talk to you about today real quick is the Instagram changes that they made for businesses. You want to go into it now? You want to save it for later?
Let's do it now.
Yeah.
Let's roll now.
Sure.
I mean, you can only take so much of a chicken on your head, so.
I think that you really would rather talk to Stacie, and I got to be honest, I don't blame you. So Instagram over the last week or 7 days, 10 days, 8 days, whatever it is, decided that they were going to allow businesses to schedule posts. It's kind of a big change.
Oh, internally within Instagram. So that,
Well,
so that
no.
explains why they. What?
Not quite. No, they
Okay.
they created a third-party API. So now, like things like Hootsuite and Sprout Social and some of these third-party vendors will be able to now schedule posts out to Instagram like they do to other sites, which I find to be a little bit interesting for the simple fact that you guys know now Facebook is moving more towards the organic post and moving away from the systems that actually post en masse, right? So Facebook is looking down upon people that use Hootsuite because they'd rather you log into Facebook and do your work from there. Facebook actually owns Instagram, which just implemented a new API that allows you to do what Facebook is frowning upon. I find that to be interesting. So, but for now, at least, you can now post on Instagram as a business.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine that's in kind of the online marketing space, and they, run their whole Pinterest campaign essentially in like an hour a month, and they're barely actually on Pinterest. They actually just schedule all their posts like a month's worth of posts at one time, which is clearly not what Pinterest has in mind for how they would like you to use their platform. Like they want you in it every day. So I think it's we're always riding a fine line between using the tools for a while they work, and then they stop working essentially, either by force or by just overabundance.
Yeah, you see everything changing every day. It's just a matter of these people. Listen, the bottom line is the advertising revenue. Facebook has made those changes recently. This has been coming, right? We saw this when years ago when they changed it. You used to be able to do all your business on your personal page, and then they said, no, now you got to do a business page. And we were like, okay, that doesn't make any difference.
Full circle. Yeah.
Sort of, right? So they're sort of going back, but here's what they're forcing you to do. In order for you to get your business any organic reach, the best, most surefire way to do it is do what? Spend more money. So you have to spend more money on advertising on their platform. So it's not. Listen, they're not dumb. They're orchestrating everything from 7 years ago up to where we are now. It's not. I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar company for many reasons. This is just one of them. Their strategy is impeccable.
Nice. Stacie, I want to turn to you on this issue. So riddle me this, just from the team perspective. Have you had like a marketing assistant that kind of took on these duties so you didn't have to be diving into Facebook and Instagram?
Oh, definitely. Because, as an agent, a lot of times you'll go into Facebook thinking, oh, I'll post something that seems meaningful to my clients or, get me some more reach. And then you're in there, reading everybody's posts, and then you're watching cat videos, and then something else happens. So you're not even getting any work
you know
done.
Greg too well.
We've never met, and all of a sudden I feel like you're my sister. This is amazing.
So, definitely having someone else run it is key.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think it's, unless you can find something that works so well and it's only you that can do it. Like, I think there's a couple of different types of posts. You've got your scheduled posts that are kind of the foundation, so to speak, but then you doing things on top of it that are extremely hyper-personal where only you can really do it right and it's your voice. But otherwise, for the most part, it'd be better. And like you said, Gene, like it's a pay-to-play game. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're a high-producing agent, you have the money to invest. It's really about, getting your brand out there, getting your message out there, and putting it in front of more people so that when they recognize your mailers and your team picks up the phone and calls like they know the name. And so, Gene, it's not necessarily like it being a pay-to-play game doesn't necessarily mean any bad things if you're a high-producing agent or a team leader.
But no, and I don't even think it has to be high producing. I mean, Facebook's put a system in place where you can start with $5. It's not going to get you as much as if you spend with $5,000. But this is what I think is funny, and I actually just watched. You guys know Chris Smith from Curator, and he just recently put out this little thing, and he said the fact that you are hemming and hawing about the fact that you now got to spend a little bit more money as a business is funny. And I started to think about that a little bit further because they do tell you 15 to 25% of your revenue should be dedicated towards advertising, whether it's Facebook or mailers or Waze advertising, whatever you're doing, it should be put there in order for you to grow, right? But I think what Facebook did, and the reason why people are going crazy about it, is because they set the precedent that it's so cheap and you really don't have to spend any money. Not thinking that people were going to say it.
That is the perception they've created. Yeah, that social media should be free and is always free, and that's the great thing about it. And at the end of the day, they still have to run a business.
So you just got used to it. And if you think back, you knew this was going to happen 6 years ago. I mean, any business that's worth their weight in salt, what Chris said was, it's funny that you expect to make money off of a platform that's charging you money, and you're mad.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Right. So you got to spend a little bit of money to make money. That's it. And Facebook's still going to be
Stacie,
one
I'm
of the
curious
best
about this. Gene mentioned kind of the ratio of what other businesses consider normal to spend on advertising. I know like Frank at Vire Marketing probably puts no more than 15% of their market towards budget towards marketing and lead gen. What do you guys recommend for teams?
Well, we're looking at, when you look at gross commission income, so it depends on what you're taking that number off of, right? If you're taking off the margin or the profit or your net profit. But if you go off of gross margin, we're looking at a 10% bucket. But Gene, when you're talking about 20%, you're probably talking about expenses as a whole. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think that number's totally arbitrary, right? I mean, if you can operate at 10%, some people can operate at 38. I think 15% is a decent number, but absolutely.
Yeah. And he's right. It's all relative, right? So it depends on what you got coming in, what you're and making sure you're diversified as well. So that's a really good point Gene's making about this is social media. And this is also direct mail. It's also, anything else that you're running has to all be poured into that bucket. So don't put your eggs in one basket for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hit them by air, land, and sea.
Yes.
All right. So, Gene, did you want to hang out with us longer, or do we need to let you go? I know you have lots of tailgating to do. It's 17 hours. 17 hours of hope before 3 hours of soul-crushing sadness.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Wow. Listen, I can't wait.
I can say this as a Cowboys fan. I have no dog in the fight. I like Belichick. I don't care for Brady, so I really don't care one way or the other. I wouldn't mind seeing the Eagles win, so I just don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be a repeat of last year, sadly.
Listen, I think we should put it on video right now. I'm calling it. I'm going to call the exact score. I was at the game 2 weeks ago, and by the way, if you pay attention, can you hear that? If you pay attention this week, today, there's going to be my recap, the NFC Championship recap, so you get to see the tailgating and all that stuff. 31-17 Birds. Mark it down.
Interesting. Angry Birds or just birds?
Wrong birds.
You got the eye roll. You got the eye roll.
That's right.
Oh, man. Just flying in there, red balls, just like boom, blowing shit up, just kind of going through defensive lines. It's just going to be a shit show.
I'm going to tell you this one last thing, and then I'm going to bail and watch from the sidelines. I am sick and tired, McDaniel. Listen, McDaniel, I'm sick and tired of you taking shots at my bird and my balls, okay? All right?
Red balls.
Stacie, have fun with these guys.
Yeah,
I'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later, Gene.
Bye, Birdie.
All right. And since he forgot, the marketing genius that he is, forgot to tell people how to contact him, I will do it for him. Yeah, GeneVolpe.com. All right. So, Stacie, let's get back to your story and your background, because we've got a lot of fun stuff to dive into. So take us back, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever. Were you a solo agent before you jumped into the team game, and how long were you just a solo agent?
Yeah, so I actually got my real estate license in 2002 and was a solo agent for 2 years. And then from there developed a team that was really like shared services. So it isn't what we call teams today.
Like a community team model.
Yeah. It was like, hey, do you want to share marketing expenses? How about you? I think we could all get along for a while. So we did that and then realized.
Those always turn out awesome.
I kind of like you. You look normal.
Yeah.
No,
like,
you're not. You're
we have no money in the checking account. This is like the best idea ever. And so we dissolved that team. And a guy that was on that team with me and I decided to start a new team. And so that was 2011, January 1, 2011, started a brand new team and really just built that team with us two starting together. And then another agent came over part-time. He was still working another job and we were trying to get everything going because you're doing that whole thing of like slinging homes, trying to create systems, trying to update your client. It was a total crap show for a while. But, it helped us fail fast, and we had big goals that we just didn't let anybody shake us on. Everybody said, our first goal was to hit 30 million in our market. So to give you an idea, our market's not big. It's 180,000 people. The average price point at that time was 150,000. Right now it's like around 200,000. But, you have to sell a lot of homes to get a really good volume. So our first number was 30 million. And when we went to this new brokerage to start this team, they laughed at us and they were like, you can't do 30 million. Like the best guy in the market doesn't do 30 million. And we're like, well, I think we're just going to try to do it. We'll do it. We'll get it done. And we did. And then it was, okay, we're going to build a specialized team. We want buyer agents just helping buyers and listing agents just doing listings. And, that was like this crazy thing. Why would you do that? Nobody's going to do that. And so it was just fun to like really set our mind out to do these different things in our market, things that weren't happening here, that were happening in other areas, and to really implement them here and see it come to fruition.
Stacie, we had a guest on earlier this week before Matt and I came up to Detroit, and he operated his business exactly the way that you're doing it. He had a dedicated listing specialist, dedicated buyers. I mean, he ran it like a company. And I was sitting there and I'm like, why don't we all do this? I mean, it'd be, instead of us being a jack of all trades and a master of none, why don't you just, right. Stacie is the absolute knockout out of the park listing specialist. Matt's the buyer guy. I'm probably the janitor. But it's one of those things that we have our expertise in. And instead of just running around like a chicken with our head cut off, I mean, you proved it. I mean, you sold your team for 7 figures.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's paying attention to this, you guys, proof in the pudding. She's sitting right there in 2 degrees of weather. I mean, she made it happen.
Yeah.
We don't know why you're still sitting there, Stacie. Why don't you live in California yet?
I know, right? Right, exactly. The amazing thing is, though, when you're thinking about giving up a piece of your business, so when you're the sole practitioner and you want to just be the listing agent, or you want to maybe just run the operations, it's so scary because you're thinking, no one helps clients like I do, right? And how can I give away this income that I worked so hard to come to me? And it's really that 80-20 rule, right? No one is probably going to do as good as you do in some things, but they're going to kill it in things that you thought you were good at responding. But remember all those times your clients are calling you and they're like, hey, are we closing? Hey, do we have title insurance? Or, hey, did my earnest money get sent to you? All those little things, right? You can concentrate on when you're truly being a specialist in each piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. I have my team manager, Eileen. She's now a partner in our team, so full partner. And I went on this trip to Detroit, and I have thought zero about the listings that we just brought on, because I know that she is handling her part of the business without a doubt, and that trust and belief in your team members. I mean, you have to put the right people in the right seats on the bus. That's the given part. You can't put the wrong people there, but once you get the right people there, it runs so smoothly, because delegation is an art, and you have to learn how to let go of it, like you were talking about. But once you do, your life quality skyrockets, because your stress level comes down dramatically, because you're not worrying about every single detail. I mean, Dr. Oz, he does like several hundred or several thousand heart surgeries a year, runs 2 TV shows, 2 different charity things, and everything else. And they always ask him, why do you do that? How can you do that? He's like, it's simple. When I do a heart surgery, I walk in, I don't clean the room, I don't get the patient ready, I don't do any prep. I walk in, the patient's open, I go in, snip, snip, zigzag, boom, done. They close him up, and he walks out and he's done. And that we don't think about it that way in our real estate business. We think that we have to be in every single aspect. I talked to Eileen. She writes every one of my contracts. She handles the communication. She will hand me the request for repairs, highlight the parts of the inspections that I need to read for the request. I work with the agent. It takes me 5-10 minutes. She's typing it up behind me. Or she'll be on the conference call with me. She'll DocuSign it, send it out. I come back, we go to close, we're done.
Yeah,
you basically just parachute. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, Greg just basically just parachutes in, like, whenever the parts of the process that actually benefit from either the resources or the decisions that you bring as the leader, and then everything else, put somebody else in place that does a better job than you do, and all of that other stuff. And that's a really interesting thing, Stacie. I'd love to get into that, but I want to hear what you wanted to say first. But I do want to get into some of those personal development things that come along with letting go of the control, because I guarantee you, I know you deal with that on a daily basis with clients.
For sure. Well, to piggyback on what you guys were talking about, you know that you're creating a raving fan with your client because of the communication level now. Where, Greg, if you were writing the contract, you were DocuSigning it, it wouldn't be like in a very succinct system. It would be like, oh, shoot, you know what? Hey, when I get done with this presentation, then I'll DocuSign it. And you're like, crap, I forgot to DocuSign it. Like all the stuff we do. Yeah. And the client's sitting there like, they look at us like a paycheck most times. So they're calculating in their head, especially if they're a seller, oh my gosh, I'm paying this Yahoo 20 grand or whatever it is, and they can't DocuSign something to me, right?
Yeah.
So when the process is taken care of, you're going to get those raving fans every single time, and it's predictable.
So here's an example that happened today. We had one of our new listings just came on, and our client hit us up and goes, you know what, I really think it's important to have my home on Zillow and Trulia. Eileen hit back within probably 45 seconds and goes, hey, client, we're on it. We already have an email into tech. We're waiting for a response. The client comes back and goes, wow, thank you. Yeah. About an hour later, okay, we have confirmation. It's up on the site. The client responded back, thanks for the quick response. Yeah. I mean, that's where a raving fan, that's just a simple example of getting up there.
If they're working if you were working with them directly, they would have heard from you sometime tomorrow. Or maybe you got back and recovered from the flight that we're about to take. Flights, plural, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, that's one of those things that you make a great point, which is that we feel like we can do everything ourselves. And that maybe that's true. There are some guys where they build a team and legitimately they could literally step into any one position on their team and probably do it at a higher level. Even if that's true, you still can't do all of it at a higher level because you just don't have the focus. And like you said, you end up having to prioritize things, and presentations come first, right? Negotiations. So all the little stuff that makes the client feel like you don't care. It's not that you don't care, just you literally can't spread your focus that thin.
Yeah, and you said earlier in the podcast something that I say a lot, and that is, if I don't change the outcome of actually performing it myself, I don't need to be involved in it. So for Greg, one of the best things that you do, right, is secure that listing probably with a presentation. Mm-hmm. Maybe you do negotiations, maybe you don't, but there's a few key things you come in and do, but you don't change the outcome of anything if you DocuSigned it or not, or if you checked on Zillow hits. It's what do you really do well and change that actual outcome. That's what you need to be doing.
So, Stacie, I want to pick your brain on something. I mean, when you were working with clients, when you set expectations for the clients, how it works, I mean, I'll explain my way after. I want to hear your way of doing it so they know what's going to take place, because they know that you're going to be involved, but there's going to be other team players. I mean, how do you set the stage with that? I mean, you're obviously a master of it.
That is key, right? It's the handoff, and it's explaining to someone that you're not going to be passed off. That it's really, we would always say, it's my partner. So it's my listing partner. It's my buyer partner. It's my operations manager, right? People like titles, unfortunately. And it's not that your team does, but outside, they like titles. They want to know they're dealing with the best. And so when you say, my listing expert partner is going to be doing X, Y, Z, and here's what I handle because that's what I do best, then they're like, oh, wow, this, and then you explain to them, this is a different level of service than you get from the average agent, and this is why. And then they're like, okay, right, feature, benefit, boom, I'm in it with you. But it's where agents get in trouble, I think, and I did in the beginning before I figured out how to explain it, is when you backpedal and you're like, so you want me to show you houses tomorrow? Okay, yeah. You know what? My agent would be so great, right? And you're just backpedaling. And they're like, what? Forget you. No. So it is the handoff.
Sounds like you're handing them off to Roger Clinton or something like that. I have a brother, and he's not doing anything tomorrow. Let me have him go show you that house.
Exactly. I found this one agent that wasn't doing anything, and I thought he could show you houses.
Exactly.
They're
just wildly
come
unsuccessful.
on.
They've got all day for you.
Exactly. And don't worry about their car. It's missing a hubcap, but it's not a big deal.
It's cool.
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They changed oil last month. The thing is that I made a critical mistake 2 years ago. I was going to a listing appointment, dude. They were loving me. We were in the groove together. We were in sync. We were talking about next steps, but I made a massive error. I said, you're going to be working with my team. This was going to happen, yada yada. But the impression I gave them was that I was going to pass them off and I was going to be done with them. Yeah. And so when I didn't get the listing, I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
I mean, internally and outside, I said, help me understand what's going on, fuckers. And I said, what did I do wrong? Where did I screw up? They said, well, Greg, we felt like we were just going to pass this off and we were not going to talk to you anymore. And I'm like, stupid ass. And I'm like, no, I was always going to be lead agent with you. Anything was going to change was going to go through me first. I was going to be next to you the entire time. Just these were the roles of the other agents on my team to help you facilitate this. Dude, they felt like a dog's ass. They're like, oh.
And because they had already signed the paperwork, right?
They had already signed the paperwork with another agent. And when I told them that, you could see the air come out of them. And so it taught me something very critical, like you were talking about, Stacie. It's so important about that handoff. You're letting them know, I'm next to you. I'm your advocate. You're on team, Greg. Stacie, are you married, by the way? Stacie and your husband? I'm just going to make the assumption you are. Stacie, you and your husband, I'm going to be right next to you guys. I'm on your team. We're going to walk through this together, yada, yada. My other teammates are going to take over these different aspects, but anything that's going to affect the deal, I'm the only one that's going to be making negotiations for you. And once I learned that, and I use that now, we don't lose listings anymore.
Right.
Well, unless that
exactly.
Unforgivable happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there was like a discount broker. Bad discount broker.
But it's so true, right? They want to know they're still taken care of, and it's just on us to communicate that well. And then when you get to the point where you're not helping clients anymore, then you really have to communicate that well, because then they're like, well, why don't I choose my 7 other best friends that got their real estate license too?
Yeah.
And that's when you really have to still stay in communication, even though you're not helping them. So then our verbiage just changes. Like, I personally trained them. They see hundreds of homes every single month. Like, they are going to do such a good job. I'm just on the marketing end now, or I'm on the training end, or I'm doing this. And then they still feel taken care of. And then we just check in with them. So there's automatic check-ins like, hey, oh my gosh, Greg just told me that you guys found a house yesterday. That's awesome. Like, I cannot wait for you guys to get into it. So then they know we're actually communicating about it.
Yeah, absolutely. As the great Glenn Twiddle would say, Greg sleeps in bed between his clients. Thank you, Glenn. I don't know how I feel about that right now.
This is taking a turn.
Hey, that's customer service to a whole new level.
that is-
On that one.
That is good.
Yeah, I'll let you
98%
take on
customer
that.
satisfaction.
Marital problem solved.
right.
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh my God. All right. So here's one thing I wanted to point out just about the whole kind of handoff, pass off process is, I think having somebody like that, Stacie, you mentioned whether you call them a listing partner, an operations manager, having that other person, and of course if they're salaried and you can just tell them what to do, that's even better. But even if they are a true partner in the sense that they're another licensed agent where it's a partnership, just the fact that there's multiple people involved allows you to kind of fall back and say things like, well, we have a system for, like, this is our system for X, this is our system for Y and Z, right? And that's one of the things I think agents can use to protect themselves from getting overextended in the transaction. Because I think it's just human nature when we're dealing with one other human being and they're a professional service provider and they're just operating solo, we just assume that we are entitled to their full and undivided attention 24 hours a day.
Right.
Now, stack on top of the fact that real estate agents have spent the last 50 years telling them we're available 24 hours a day. Like, we haven't done ourselves any favors, but it is human nature to expect that. I think when we have other people involved in the transaction, we can lay out, even if we don't feel like our systems are up to snuff, it still gives us the ability to say to the client, hey, we have systems for this is our system, this is our policy, right? I'm available here, this person's available here, I do this, they do that, and it just gives you that ability. Like, that's one of the keys to getting some actual freedom in the business, as opposed to the freedom to work 60 hours a week.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to have the right people. So like Greg's, was it Eileen? Yeah,
We
Eileen.
just refer to her as the steel trap.
Yeah, so Steel Trap obviously gets it. She gets it. She wants it. She's got the capacity to do it. And you have to have the right hires. Otherwise, you're never going to give away your clients fully or any security on the deal. So if you're not comfortable that your assistant really will communicate well with the client, you're never going to give it up. And then you're going to think it's the idea or the system that, you can't give up stuff to a buyer agent. You can't give stuff to assistants. No, you've got the wrong people. And it might be on you. It might be your training, or it may be they're not the right fit. You didn't give them the expectations of that position correctly. Because like a lot of times when we hire buyer agents, we're like, oh my gosh, we've got leads. Woo! Come join my team. Like, we're just going to feed you business.
Yeah.
And then they get there and we're like, oh, by the way, you need to prospect. You need to bring in your SOI. You're going to negotiate, show homes. You're going to be on call, all this stuff. And they're like, wait, what? And I don't even get a salary. And you're like, yes.
Welcome to real estate.
Yeah. You're like, you got it. So, yeah, you got to set up expectations correctly as well.
Yeah, I was talking to, it's funny you bring that point up, because I asked Greg Harrelson this the other day, and I said, what are people's expectations? Like when they join your team, like what do they really know? You know, do they understand what they're getting themselves into? And he said they actually do. He says, I'm fortunate because I've been doing this for so long. We've been doing this model for so long, and it's so well known in the marketplace. He says, I actually don't have agents coming in thinking we're going to feed them leads and that's the end of it. Like they actually go into it knowing. He says, and if they don't, for whatever reason, if they come in and not know, like you start touring the facility and you see the agents doing what they do, says that solves it right there, and it scares off anyone that wasn't weeded out by my reputation before they showed up.
Exactly.
So that helps.
Yeah, if you're joining Greg Harrelson's team and you don't know what's going on,
you will leave quickly.
Yeah. Once you see their nest there, you'll know what's happening.
It's their nest.
But it is.
So
it's
so ominous.
Expectations. Yeah. It's expectations.
Yeah, and the expectations. So let's talk about, we've got about 10, 15 minutes left. I want to cover just some simple practical steps for folks that are producing pretty well, and maybe they're generating more leads than they know what to do with. So they're in that position where they could either start bringing on more admin support, or they could start partnering up with agents. And I know a lot of agents in that position start to think of like what you did, the community kind of team model. Hey, let's do some more lead. Like, hey, I want to get into Boomtown, but I can't really afford it. You know, let's team up, you and me, or I want to go after this neighborhood. Let's farm it together. Like all this stuff. What are the first practical things to think about and steps to take when you start building out that team?
Yeah. Well, one thing I see that maybe people do wrong is they just start spending money like crazy. Like, oh, if I buy this platform, I'll just get all these deals. Oh, if I buy this marketing or somebody's listing presentation, game over. And so then they're never leading with revenue. So then when they go to hire someone, they've got like 2 months in the bank for an assistant. And then they don't even know what they can do with that assistant. So now they're spending all their time training. They're not selling. So first of all, you have to lead with revenue. If you don't know your numbers, like most agents don't know how to read a P&L. And if you don't know just those basics, there's nothing to be ashamed of. But like Google it and figure out what you need to do, or get a strong bookkeeper, or, educate yourself. Because if you don't lead with revenue, you're going to be in the hole every single time, because it's an up and down business until you get it, really stable. So that's the first thing. And a lot of questions we get asked, is should I hire an assistant or an agent first? Right. And I don't know that there's a one size fits all answer for that. I mean, to me, I want someone else helping with the business if I have an abundance of leads or clients. But generally, when you're trying to get over the hump of, like, it feels like 100 deals is the first hump you have to get over, right? And so if you're selling yourself 50, 60 deals, you probably need some support, and maybe a buyer agent can help you with a little bit of the admin work. Not that you're going to stick them in as a total admin, but they can help with some of that. Yeah, because you can't afford to give away all your leads when you're doing 50 and 60 deals. You've got to stay in there. Yeah. So, I don't know what the right answer is. It's like chicken before the egg, what's first? I don't know.
Well, it comes down with personalities. I mean, a friend of our family, a guy named Bob Wolf, he extremely successful agent. He is also the fastest moving human on earth. But last time I saw him in his office, he was in his, probably $5,000 suit on his knees in his office, not using his desk, using the floor, sorting out all the files he had. He had 3 assistants in his office that he had. There's no ceilings in his offices. So he's like, Rebecca, Stacie, Ann, this file. and he just handled the workload. That was his style, right? So it really should come down to the agent and how they want to operate and where they work best. If they're bad at delegating, fine, get a buyer's agent and have them go do some of the leads. If they're great at delegating, get a solid assistant that will manage you like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
that's a
that
really
might
good way
work
to
best
look
for
at
you.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an
we were
excellent
joking
way.
at lunch today that, the only reason I'm productive is because Matt manages my schedule and everything podcast related, and it wouldn't happen unless he put it in my schedule. I gave up putting things in my schedule like 2 years ago. I'm like, he's just going to do it.
Well, we have that conference call at 11, right? Like, I don't know, when do we have the conference call? I'm like, well, it's 11, so how about we show up at
It's
11?
not on my calendar. I don't know what to do. I'm like a lost child in the woods. It's horrible. And they didn't bring snacks.
Yeah, well, there's so I think how I would help somebody kind of work through that decision is, are they at the point where they've kind of like leveraged their skill set as much as they want, and now it's time to level up and start leveraging, marketing or the team building step, right? For the most part, like there's a lot you can accomplish when you're in that anywhere from 50 to 100 deals. There's a lot of options you have as far as how you're going to grow. But it kind of depends on kind of what your 2 or 3 superpowers are. So you mentioned, like, what do you do where if you parachute into the transaction at some point, you actually affect the outcome, like, massively for the better? Like, where do you change the outcome? I've never heard it phrased exactly like that, and I love the way that you put that, because I think that really helps people understand how much in their business doesn't change the outcome with them being involved. I can tell you there's a great book, David Maister's Managing the Professional Service Firm, and he did a survey of like big accounting firms, law firms, engineering and architecture firms, and all these like really full-on professional service firms. According to all of their surveys, about 40% of their work could easily be handled by a well-trained junior staff.
Yeah.
College grad, somebody that they can train, and that's it. Like, we're talking 40%. For realtors, we know by experience that's actually way higher than that.
Yeah.
It's more like 70 or 80, 90%. I always chuckle when people have a hard time getting over that hump because nobody can do it as well as I can, because it's insane.
Right. And sometimes when they're trying to, decide should I get an assistant or should I get a buyer agent, all they're thinking about is the time it's going to take to train someone. And it's not even a huge training process. All you have to do is, you could literally write down for 1 week, what do you do? And put it, and then from there, put it on 2 pages. One is what an assistant could do. One is what a buyer agent could do. What's bigger? What's taking up more of your time right now? There you go. Start hiring that.
A lot of us, we love to play office a lot of the time. So we give ourselves the outs so that we don't have to do the hard prospecting. We don't have to make that tough call. It's like, I'd rather take this pile of paper and move it over here. And then I'm going to pick that pile of paper and move it over there. And whew, that was a rough day.
Yeah. Right.
The stresses of real estate.
That's right.
Oh, my Lord. But I mean, if you can delegate moving those paper around, or do the things that we don't want to do. Eat That Frog, Brian Tracy, phenomenal book. Do the toughest thing up front. The rest of the day is going to be super easy because you already got that horrible, nasty thing over with.
Yeah.
We all struggle with it. Stacie, I'm sure you do. I know Matt does. I know I do. Because we're humans. We don't want to always do the thing that's hard because we don't like conflict most of the time, or we don't want to tackle something that we're not 100% proficient in. But challenging yourself to become better on a daily basis and having those hard conversations or doing those difficult things is only going to make you a better agent, better person. Well, and
it's the key to making more money, which if you claim that you want that, but you're not willing to do the things where you actually add value in the business, that I think that's another place where a lot of agents get stuck, is they realize that they hit the ceiling on how much money they can make for the type of work that they want to do. And Stacie, I know you know this, like most of the agents, not that you work with, just most of the agents in the industry, they're really not interested in being real estate agents. What they want is they want to be transaction coordinators, of all things. Yeah. If they had their choice, they would rather the business be fed to them and they work with people and just take the orders and do the paperwork and show the houses. But that's not the part that pays the money, because that's not the most valuable part.
Are you telling me that's not what we do?
It's definitely not what you do.
Shit! What have I been doing for the last 18 years? God, the truth is so hard to see. Oh.
Like, I'm not taking the same flight as you back.
This is bullshit. Oh, God.
Sorry, we were not sitting next to you on the Southwest flight. Oh, my God. Okay. So, Stacie, any last things you want to leave people? We talked about a couple of the things that people struggle with when they first start building out. Anything that you want to leave people with?
Yeah, one of the things that helped me really get through sort of the grind times of real estate, and you were alluding to it before, is personal development. So for me, it's something that is scheduled every single week, no matter if it's, reading, podcasts, webinars, online classes, whatever it is. And I'm always thinking, what can I do with this in my business now? So even if you feel like, hey, I'm listening, like if you're listening to my story and you're saying, well, yeah, that sounds great for you, like you're not in production anymore. Yay for you. I'm sure you remember how hard it was. Well, what can you take from what we talked about today and put it into practice for yourself?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite books is Relentless from Tim Grover. And he was, Michael Jordan's basketball coach. And he also worked with Kobe. And, I mean, the book is just amazing in the fact that when those major players are not winning the championships that they want to, what do? They go back and they hit the basics. They practice. They could go off after the game and celebrate with everybody or cry with everybody when they don't win. But what do? They get back in the gym and they shoot and they shoot and they shoot. And it's the same with real estate, right? No matter what phase you're in, do the money-making activities. What is it? What's your shot that you need to do every single day to make sure your business is growing? That's what you have to do instead of shuffle paperwork.
That's logical, Stacie, but that means that you're vulnerable. And most people don't want to show that they're vulnerable.
Very
But I mean, when once you show your underbelly and you expose yourself to being a little not superhuman and bulletproof, that's when the growth takes place.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite sayings is success is your reward for prospecting. And, doing the things that you're not good at or you don't want to do, that's your reward. But people have a pipe dream and mental masturbation about the success they're going to have when they sit around, they're like, oh, holy phone. Ring. Ring. Fuck, it's not ringing. It must be broken. I'm going to take this back to Verizon.
That's right. It's the network.
It's the network. It's the
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
But it's so important to do, be relentless. Get down there. Get your hands dirty, guys. Get out there and do something that's difficult. If you're not great at listing presentations, get this thing, put it on a tripod or something or other, and, record yourself. Yeah. See how epically fucking horrible you are at this and be like, ooh, that's horrible. Okay? Then tweak it. Record it again. Tweak it. Have your spouse, business partner, secretary, watch it. Have them being brutally honest with you. I mean, do stuff that's going to make you better. Like Kobe, I mean, there's numerous stories about that man. Just hustle, grind. And that's right. He retired at a young age and is a superstar because he put in the hard work in the front end, not wishing he did it in the back end.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're just taking more chances up front. Exactly what you said. They're hearing no more often and they're failing faster. And that's all it is. No matter, honestly, what business you're in, there's no magic pill. There's nothing like that I've done that you can't do. You guys have done that they can't do. It's literally just getting in there, getting your hands dirty, and doing the work. That's it.
Last year,
nothing fun.
Yeah, last year, I mean, I'm very open about it. I left about $350,000 on the table because I wasn't, my mind wasn't, on task. I was all over the fucking place. And, I owned the fact that my ego got in the way. And what I'm seeing now, Stacie, and you did, and, Matt, when you were in real estate and all our viewers, they do, and they need to do, if you're not doing it now, bad, follow up.
Yeah.
Sit down and follow the fuck up with the people that you've already found. They like you. They want to do business with you, but they will work with other people. And I'm getting thanked. For calling them back and honoring my word. It's the weirdest thing. And so it really inspires me to keep going on doing this because I see the success that it brings. Yeah. And
that's definitely like your least favorite, Achilles heel, like least favorite thing out of all, even though you're very good on the phone, for some reason that you just don't like that. But so you found like the key to making all the other stuff that you do as productive as it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool, guys. All right. So Stacie, how do people reach out to you and learn more about B School and all that good stuff?
Yeah, you bet. You can go to realestatebschool.com or you can email me directly at Stacie, Stacie, @realestatebschool.com.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
And then for the show itself, make sure, well, first of all, I just want to thank you guys, obviously. You don't see a lot of Facebook ads and stuff like that, like promoting the show. Basically, it grows because you guys share it. So make sure to share it with your friends in the business, your brokers. In fact, the gals that brought us out here to speak in Detroit, sweethearts, Misty and Neely, they've been, watching the show for quite a few, like
3 years.
Close to 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, basically they told the brokers about us and encouraged them to bring us out. They brought us out for their annual conference for their brokers. We had an awesome time out here. So guys, if that's something that you'd like us to do, it's really just as simple as probably making an introduction. So we appreciate that. And then make sure to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, or Stitcher, depending on whether you want the video or audio versions. And then, Greg, how do people reach out to you?
Guys, I want you to follow me on Facebook, please. I can't take any more friends. Facebook's a dick. They only give me 5,000. How paltry amount to friendships to have in life. But, paltry. But guys, follow me on Facebook. Follow Matt on Facebook. But I want you to go to bookmcdaniel.com. Okay, bookmcdaniel.com. And I want you guys to book a 30-minute call session with me if you're interested, because Matt and I have switched over to eXp Realty. We are creating and growing a national brand. If you guys want to be involved with us, sit down and learn how this company that we joined, for us, is the best decision we could have made, the way they structure it out, because this isn't just a job. This is a wealth-building organization that can build you a 401k, passive income, and your commissions all tied into one. And you know what? You get a massive amount of additional benefits by joining our team. I can go over that in a 30-minute call. But if you guys are already talking to another sponsor or someone else in EXP, do not contact me. Contact them out of ethics, okay? They're the ones that have brought you in. If you guys are not talking to someone else, please do contact me. I would love to explain the value-add benefits for our team. But yeah, that's how you get a hold of me, guys. BookMcDaniel.com.
Cool. All right, Stacie, this has been awesome. We really appreciate your time and hanging out with us. So everybody, if you're listening or watching, guys, the organization that her and Lars have put together coaches some of the top team leaders in the country, and a lot more of them than you think. So let's put it that way. So they're doing a phenomenal job. I mean, I've seen Lars' systems. They are unbelievable. The stuff that he's put together that helps people, and especially team leaders, operate at a high level and grow the team while also cutting back on hours, actually living a better, more balanced quality of life at the same time, which for whatever reason that trips out a lot of agents. They believe, they've come to believe that more business equals more work equals less family time and less enjoyment, and that is not the case. So you can completely de-link those two things. You can make as much as you want and actually work less and enjoy your life more, and that's what they talk about in the B School. So guys, reach out to Stacie, get on a call with her. With that said, shall we put a bow on this one?
Yes, we shall, Matt. But you guys, Stacie is epic. She is in part of an incredible organization. If you found value with this, reach out to her. Do yourself that honor. Have a conversation with her. You'll see the quality of a human being that she is, because we only bring quality on.
Oh,
there we go.
That was awesome. Thanks for pushing me off screen.
But guys, as always, Matt put a little bow on this thing. And how do we do this thing? Ready to go over here?
Yeah.
And guys, as always, peace out, ninjas. We gone.